Right, so this will be, I guess, a critique of Judge Jessica Cooper and her statement to Kevorkian at sentencing. So, I mean, I think this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. You know, I'm an anarchist, and this is why. Okay, this quote. This is a court of law, and you said you invited yourself here to take a final stand. And just right away, in the movie, you don't know Jack. I never found out if this is actually the case, but in the movie they had a quote in the courtroom from Sir Coke that says, common law is nothing but reason, which is complete bullshit, but nevertheless, right there in the courtroom on the wall, they have the word reason. Okay, that's where that's the authority, reason, rational thought. That's what we should be talking about. But you know, this is a court of law. So apparently, you know, according to the quote, this is a court of reason. But it wasn't. It was a complete farce. Anyhow, going on. But this trial was not an opportunity for a referendum. Yeah, no kidding. Right? And as if a referendum has any basis in rationality. You know, as we're going to find out later on. The law prohibiting euthanasia, right? The law prohibiting euthanasia, what the fuck, was specifically reviewed and clarified by the Michigan Supreme Court several years ago in a decision involving your very own cases, sir. Alright, they got a law prohibiting euthanasia that is just that has no rational, reasonable basis. You know, I mean, I downloaded this free dictionary, and I looked up euthanasia: the act of killing someone painlessly, especially someone suffering from an incurable illness. They outlawed that. Why? Who knows? They're delusional. That's why. They're delusional. Okay. Going on. So the charge here should come as no surprise to you. Well, I mean, yes and no, because the prosecutors dropped the euthanasia charge, right? Not for any rational reason. They just wanted to fucking win. It's just, it's unbelievable. They specifically made a law trying to prevent Kevorkian from, you know, helping people out, and they dropped that charge, and they just went all or nothing on the murder, as we'll find out later on. Murder in Michigan law is ridiculous. I mean, they have murder in the definition of murder. How's that fly? Murder shall be any murder. Okay, so going on. You invited yourself to the wrong forum. Well, apparently. I mean, we thought it was a forum of reason, but this is it's like he invited himself to church instead of a court of law, court of reason. So here, going on. Well, we are a nation of laws, and we are a nation that tolerates differences of opinion because we have a civilized and a nonviolent way of resolving our conflicts that weighs the law and adheres to the law, be it rational or not. I added that at the end. See, that's the whole thing. If the law isn't rational, it's not a law. It's a you're in church now. We wrote it down, and you must obey it. because we're the high priests of the land. You know. Okay. Going on. We have the means and the methods to protest the laws with which we disagree. Yeah, if we disagree with it, it's probably for a good reason. But you can protest it, but we don't have to listen to you. You can criticize the law. You can write or lecture about the law. You can speak to the media or petition the voters. Yeah, petition the delusional masses. This camera really sucks up the batteries, to tell you what. Anyhow, yeah, I mean, you know, sorry, but that's just a fact. I mean, it's a, you know, we'll see that the masses aren't rational. Okay, going on. But you must always stay within the limits provided by law. Okay, we provide you with the law, be it rational or not, and you must stay within. Like it's like the bit in Devil's Advocate where dude asked the devil, "Why the law? Because it's the new priesthood. You may not break the law. You may not take the law into your own hands." You know, it's like I said, if the law is irrational, it's okay to take the law into your own hands, as Kevorkian did. I mean, he didn't. The Michigan law says, well, let me pull that up. Okay. First degree murder penalty definitions. Okay, a person who commits any of the following is guilty of first degree murder and shall be punished by imprisonment for life without eligibility for parole. At least the jury didn't convict him of first degree. Because yeah, first degree has certain things in it that makes it that, so it wasn't first degree murder. Okay. A. Murder perpetrated by means of poison, lying in wait, or any other willful, deliberate, or premeditated killing. Alright? Person's guilty of murder if they murder. Oh, really? I mean, my logic and rational thought textbook has a better definition of murder. It's killing without legal consent. Alright, that's what all law basically boils down to, is you do something to somebody else without their consent. In this case, Kevorkian had consent. The guy, I mean, people were coming to him. He didn't have any advertising portion of his business. All he had to do was just go on the radio one time, and people came to him. Okay, because he was helping people in dire straits. Okay, let's look up second degree murder. It's any other murder. I think it was second degree murder. All other kinds of murder shall be murder of the second degree. Okay, I mean, these people are in dire straits and they're coming to Kevorkian and saying, "Help me out, please." Yeah, but the Michigan law says, no, no, no. What a complete joke. Yeah. Going on. In point of fact, the issue of assisted suicide was addressed in the state by a referendum just last November. And while the proponents of that were out campaigning, you were with Thomas Yauch, period. And the voters of the state of Michigan said, quote, "No," unquote. And they said no 2.5 to 1. Well, whoop-de-freaking-do. The voters were wrong. Okay? No, it's just... Okay. Going on. But we are not talking about assisted suicide here. Exactly. Why? Because the prosecutors dropped that charge. Not because it was a rational thing to do, because they just wanted to win. They didn't like what Kevorkian did. Not for any rational reason, they just... They're arrogant pricks is what they are. Okay, going on. When you purposely inject another human being with what you know to be a lethal dose of poison, that, sir, is murder. No. According to your stupid definition of murder, that's the whole thing. I mean, they write their little laws down and they say, this is, well, they're claiming it's rational. They got the quote from Coke, that common law is nothing but reason, and that's bullshit. And the jury so found. Yeah, because you told the jury you must go, but you can't use your own rational mind. I think any mind, brain out there is capable of rational thought, but they're not allowing rational thought in their courtroom. Going on. Now, you vilified the jury and the justice system in this case. Yeah, vilified means, it's not a word I use every day, so let's look that up. Spread negative information about, well, yeah, duh. I mean, there's nothing rational going on here. But every member of that jury had compassion and empathy for Thomas Youck. Well, duh, as well they should. That's the rational. Compassion for a dying man is rational. Empathy for a dying man is rational. But you wouldn't allow rationality in your court, right? You'd let them drop the assisted suicide charge. You shouldn't have allowed them to do that. This was assisted suicide. You wrote a law prohibiting it, but the juries in previous cases were like, hey, Kevorkian is not doing anything wrong. Okay? People were coming to him. He wasn't lying in wait. That's why they didn't get him on first-degree murder, because they were coming to him with good reason, rational. It's time to go. We're all gonna die. If you're dying of some fucked up disease, yeah, Kevorkian, the rational doctor, said, hey, I'll help you out. I'll put you out of your misery quickly and painlessly. Again, Michigan, I think 45 states, they're grateful to their almighty God. So you can't, it's not rational to want to die, because that means you're not grateful, right? Okay, going on. They had a higher duty. See that? We're in church now. They had a higher duty that went beyond personal sympathy and emotion. There should be the higher duty to rational thought, but instead it's just whatever you guys have written down, and which is stupid. You got murder in your definition of murder. They took an oath to follow the law, not to nullify it. Well, see again, the law. We're in church now. God said, they're the God, and you cannot divert. You must not go in your own rational direction. You must follow the letter of what we wrote down. Going on. And I am bound by a very similar oath. So yeah, you got a quote on your wall that says common law is reason, which is bullshit, but at least you should be using reason. You should be using logic and rational thought instead of what the Michigan legislature wrote down in their Bible. Okay. No one is unmindful of the controversy and emotion that exists over the end-of-life issues and pain control. The emotion is secondary. Okay? Yes, it's an emotional issue. People are dying of horrible diseases, and they want help from Kevorkian. The emotion is secondary. The controversy is it rational or irrational to want to get help from Kevorkian? It's perfectly rational, but not in the Michigan Circuit Court. And I assume that the debate will continue in a calm and reasoned forum. Yeah, not in her courtroom, but in some other forum. Where's the forum? What better place to debate this issue than in the court of law, where it's supposed to be reasonable? Long after this trial and your activities have faded from public memory. Well, why should these... it's the most controversial trial probably of the 20th century, and you guys screwed the pooch. I mean, that should be considered a fact. They screwed the pooch. Because if they're going to debate it, right, there's a right and wrong answer to this. Right? The right answer is you screwed the pooch. And the law should be changed. This law should be changed so that murder is defined as killing someone without their consent, at a minimum. You know, rational consent, something like that. I mean, in this case, it was rational consent. The guy's dying of ALS. He wants to be put down quickly and painlessly. Kevorkian's doing it for free. I mean, he's selling his paintings, you know, getting donations. He's not charging these people a dime. Because he has a rational brain. I mean, you know, for the most part. I mean, you know, I think I said before he screwed up his syllogism, but whatever. Okay. But this trial is not about that controversy. Why, you know, why isn't it? Why? Because you won't allow rational debate in your courtroom. The legislator wrote this down, and we're just going to assume it's rational, I guess, even though it's not. This trial was about you, sir. You know, she's a lawyer, a lawyer. He's a doctor trying to help people, and it's an ad hom, right? This trial is about you, sir, because you did something bad. Something bad that we said is bad, even though it wasn't bad. It's about you and the legal system. Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess, you know, yeah, she is right, but they screwed the pooch. And you have ignored and challenged the legislature of the Supreme Court. You have challenged God incarnate. And moreover, you defied your own profession, the medical profession. It says you, the lawyer. God damn it. You stood before this jury and you spoke of your duty as a physician. Indeed. You repeatedly speak of treating patients to relieve their pain and suffering. Exactly. What point is he trying to make? You don't have a license to practice medicine. Yeah, because the lawyer said he can't do it. The state of Michigan told you 8 years ago. The state of Michigan, the Lord your God, told you 8 years ago you may not practice medicine. You may not treat patients. You may not possess, let alone inject, drugs into another human being because the Lord your God, Michigan State Legislature said so. Now, the reason the guidelines in this particular case are so high is because the drug conviction in count 2, and everybody seems to have glossed over this particular offense, but you had no right to be in control of any type of controlled substance, let alone deliver it to anyone else because we said so. There are several valid considerations in sentencing. One of them is rehabilitation. Yeah, if you hadn't screwed the pooch, rehabilitation might be a consideration, but you all screwed the pooch, so he doesn't need rehabilitation. He needs more donations. There's people still standing in line wanting help from Kevorkian, and you're going to just botch that all up. But based upon the fact that you publicly and repeatedly announced your intentions to disregard the laws of the state, I question whether you will ever cease and desist, as if you should. I mean, you guys fucked up. The fact that your attorney in a pre-sentence investigation says you're out of the business from this point forward doesn't negate your past statements. Well, I mean, you know, he's out of business because, hey, he's thrown in the towel. It's not like he's doing it for, like, oh, yeah, I need to stop doing this because it's a bad thing. No, he's doing it because you fuckers beat him down. Congratulations. Now, another consideration, and perhaps even a stronger factor in this sentencing, is deterrence. We're assuming they got it right when they didn't. This trial was not about the political or moral correctness of euthanasia. Well, it should have been. Screw political. Was it rational? Is it a rational thing to do? Is euthanasia rational? You know, especially when you have consent from the alleged victims. Well, they are victims in a real sense. But you're saying that what Kevorkian did made them even more of a victim, which worked. That he helped them out of their misery, and you guys didn't like it first. Who knows why? Again, it was all about you, sir. Well, yeah, I guess yeah, it was right, but it's about him and his patients. It was about, quote, my quotes, lawlessness, unquote. Yeah. But it wasn't about reasonlessness, okay? It's about you and the high priest, you and your fellow high priests have said, you shall not help people out of their misery. Because who knows why? It's because you guys are delusional. Here's a quote from in response to the trick. It was about disrespect for a society that exists and flourishes because of the strength of the legal system, as if that's something to respect. Okay? A bunch of people existing and breeding. And they exist because people before them were breeding without any rational reason to breed. That's what people do. This is just so ludicrous. No one, sir, is above the law. No one. You shall do as we say. Never mind your rational thought. Just do as we say, and we'll get along just fine. So let's talk a little bit more about you specifically. Let's talk about Kevorkian, the rational person in the court, well, and those on his side in the pews. You were on bond to another judge, another high priestess, high priest, whatever, when you committed this offense. You were not licensed to practice medicine when you committed this offense. And you hadn't been licensed for 8 years. And you had the audacity to go on national television, tell the world what you did, and dare the legal system to stop you. Well, sir, consider yourself stopped. Congratulations. The Church of Michigan legislature has stopped you from helping people out in their time of need because we're assholes. I mean, what else can you say? This is a travesty of justice. I mean, the United States, at least some of the things in the constitutions make sense, like the United States Constitution. Their preamble makes a little bit of sense. At least they're saying they're providing a justification for what they're going to do. The justification is kind of silly, but at least they're trying. It said in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, right? Trying to establish justice, which I don't think you can actually do, but establish what comes as close as possible to being justice. And this was not justice. This was a travesty of justice. Period. Anybody out there disagree? I'm more than welcome to hear what you have to say. Thank you for your time.